Happy employees help businesses grow. According to the Harvard Business Review, happiness in the workplace leads to improved productivity and quality of life. So what can South African companies do to ensure their working environments offer pleasant experiences for employees? Are employees perks such as gyms, flexible working hours, sleep pods and unlimited leave and providing daycare centers effective in creating happy and healthy workspaces? I'm joined in studio by occupational medicine specialist Dr. Sophia Kisting and Linda Trim from Giant Leap. Dr. Sophia Kisting, you just wanted to correct something quickly?
Kisting Cairncross.
Kisting?
Cairncross.
Kisting Cairncross. Thank you so much for your time. First, let's start with this. Why is it so important for people to be actually happy at work?
Because when we are happy, we are much more productive. And we get things done much faster. We invest in what we are doing. When we are unhappy, we tend to withdraw. We are much less productive. We don't engage. We don't meet deadlines. We don't deliver on what we are there to do at work. So happiness is fundamental to a good engagement with the workplace.
Linda, and when you look at some companies, it's all about the grind. It's about you clock in, you do your 9 to 5 and you leave. It's not about creating an environment actually where the employee feels happy and looks forward to going back to work the following day.
I think it's changing a lot and companies are seeing it in a very different manner. Certainly the belief at Giant Leap is the first 8 hours are the best of your day. So you want people to be flexible. And it's no longer about a grind. It's about encouraging people to work in different ways and in a much more flexible manner and a lot more about trust. So people don't feel they're there just for the grind, that people actually look forward to going to the office and they work their way.
Are companies actually spending money on this?
Most definitely they are, and what people don't realize is when you add a flexible workspace or add ways that people can work the way they want to into your workplace, it actually saves costs. Your real estate costs go down, your people are a lot more productive. It's not expensive to change the way people are working and introduce these methods.
Dr. Sophia, here's the other thing about this, is that when you look at leave, for instance, especially maternity leave, the woman goes on maternity leave and she's then perceived not to be as productive as her male counterpart. And that is a huge problem.
Yes, and you see, I think what my colleague was saying here is that what we need is a mindset change. And I think there are changes, there are positive changes. And I think especially after the 2008 financial crisis, certainly in Europe, I've observed a big change with regards to much greater investment in flexibility and hours of work and so on. As long as we consider women not an integral part of the work environment, and as long as we consider the fact that women bear children, that is not an important way in which we plan our workplace strategy, we will have problems with it. It is a mindset change that is needed. If we invest in it, if we make sure that people who go on maternity leave, that they are treated with the dignity they deserve, that they are replaced during the time that they are not there, that they are not demoted, then they will come back in a much more motivated manner and contribute. They are not less productive than the male counterpart. On the contrary, it's often been proven they are more, they give much more of themselves.
Is this because there is that sense of having to prove that I'm worthy?
I don't think it is a sense of having to prove that women are worthy. It differs from workplace to workplace, but too many workplaces in the South African context still see women as being a challenge with regards to delivery, with taking maternity leave, for taking care of children and so on. But we have to make the lifestyle, the fact that we have children, the fact that we bear children, it must be part of the way that we are planning that happier, more productive, more sustainable workplace.
Linda, and the thing about women who have children, or whether it is the father, for instance, having a company that actually has a daycare center, and lots of people are actually arguing that some of the reasons that people leave companies are because the environment of the company is not conducive for a parent. I feel like the company is way too far, the location of the company is way too far from where I live, and I want to see my child. Is Should companies actually be focusing on this as well?
I think it's a very different scenario. It's quite difficult to have a daycare centre in an office because of the health regulations that go with it. So it's quite expensive and tricky for people to bring it into a workplace.
Yep.
I think it's more about management, allowing people the flexibility to fit in with their family and their staff's lives, to be able to fit your children when you need to work when you need to. One of the biggest elements we find, which you mentioned earlier in South Africa, with new ways of working, is that it's a big change management that has to go into it. It's not just about planning different work settings. It's training management and staff how to use them and how to work flexibly. So even when they're not at the office, you actually can know that they're working.
And wellness being part of that as well?
Wellness is a huge part of it, because sitting panicking at work on how to fetch your kid or what to do isn't conducive to anybody. If I can leave work at 4 because I've got to fetch a kid in traffic at 5 and work for an hour at home, is a lot better than panicking all day or working till late.
There's actually a book that I read, I think it's written by Tracy Swanepoel, who argues that in the workplace, the KPIs, for instance, the focus by companies to focus on where an employee has shortfalls instead of focusing what the employee is good at, is a problem. We should actually be focusing on what the employee is good at and build that instead of focusing on what they're not good at.
Very much so. So where we really sort of struggle is we find middle management battle with this. So you've got to train management and staff to understand that if I'm not sitting at my desk, it doesn't mean I'm not contactable or not actually working. So if I'm sitting in a canteen or out the office, I can still be available.
Dr. Sophia, you wanted to add something on that?
Yeah, no, I say we need to find ways to build trust at workplaces so that we have faith that staff feel so invested in the work that they are doing, that they will try their very best at all times.
Oh, that's very important. I never even thought of that, because sometimes you get the sense that your employer doesn't even trust that you actually on leave sick, that you could be up to something else, that you're not really sick, that you want to leave. And that is a problem. But building the trust is very important in building the relationship between the employer and the employee in the workspace.
Absolutely, and part of that goes with information sharing, in how it is shared, in how inclusive you are in your yearly planning, that it is not just about the KPI, but how do you actually at every possible level take into consideration that your human, the people who work for you, are the greatest asset of your company or of your workplace, wherever you are. And I just want to say one thing. Yes, I understand. Maybe there are certain industrial workplaces where it's not possible to have childcare facilities, but there are other facilities that really lend themselves very, very well to having childcare facilities, and it makes an enormous difference, especially to people working shift work or working 12-hour shifts, like in the nursing profession.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Sophia, as well as Linda. Thank you so much for your time.